Are you ready for some Raider football? Welcome into Around the Felt Sports. I'm your host, Reagan Losher, here with my co-host, Mr.
Colin Tong. Good to see you, buddy. Good to talk
Hell
some
yeah,
Raiders football. Wow. What
Raiders.
a year it could make, changing this dynamic of this team. Complete new leadership, complete new cast of players, it seems like. Bringing in Pete Carroll, old man
Shocking.
Pete, to be the head coach here. Chip Kelly as the offensive coordinator. Of course, Geno Smith as the new quarterback. We'll dive into all of it. The Raiders, 6.5 win total. Vegas, not very bullish here, Reagan. Are you more bullish on the Raiders than 6.5 with the additions they made? Ashton Jeanty, 6th overall pick, superstar back. Geno Smith, Jeremy Chin, Alex Kappa, Eric Stokes, Devin White, the corpse of Devin White. Some losses, some pretty big ones. Trevon Merrick, their stud safety. Christian Wilkins, obviously that whole fiasco with the surgery, not getting his foot figured out, still not ready to play. It seems like he's going to miss a bulk of 25. He's going to sign with a contender is what I saw. Very interesting. Christian Wilkins, they gave him a bag last offseason. Barely played for him. Nate Hobbs in the secondary. Gardner Minshew, Robert Spillane, and Divine Diablo, the two linebackers. So losing a lot of leadership on this team. 6.5 wins. What do you got? The floor is yours.
I got them winning 8 games, bro. I'm buying
Wow.
into some of the hype. I mean, at the end of the day, Pete Carroll is a good football coach, great football coach, Super Bowl winning coach. He brings in Geno Smith. While I don't think, Geno's going to put him over the top and make him a playoff team, I think Geno can go out and win some games. I don't mind their weapons. I think getting Jeanty is great. Bringing in Mostert as well, a guy who, showed a lot of flashes. I mean, I think he had like 20 touchdowns or whatever he had 2 years ago with Miami. I forget exactly what it was, but, obviously a down year last year, but I think he'll still have some juice in the tank. Brock Bowers, obviously, you could already say maybe the best tight end in football. I don't know for certain. I'd still lean Kittle, but, and even Jacobi Meyers is a very good wide receiver. I mean, maybe you're not happy with him being your one, but he's put up some big production for them. It's just the other guys outside of Jacobi Meyers is a little scary, but, I'm excited to see what some of these rookies they did, because they did draft, 3 different rookie wide receivers, between Beck, Malott, and Thornton Jr. So be interesting to see how that plays out. And Trey Tucker's still there to see who, can really step in as the 2, 3, and 4 there. And, maybe one of those guys will, really surprise us, because we see it all the time where these late wide receivers were like, we don't know how it's going to work out. Maybe there could be the next Puka Nacua on this roster. You never know.
That'd be huge.
And, on the defensive side of the ball, you still got Mad Max Crosby. They went out and got some different names. I mean, Jeremy Chin seemed to revive his career with Washington last year. So I'm excited for that. I mean, maybe Tyree Wilson can finally, live up to his draft stock.
I wouldn't bank on it.
Probably not. Probably not. He's not even slated to start right now. But yeah, I do have them going 8 and 9. I think they can win some games, and I think it's going to have to be a lot of Jeanty and a lot of Brock Bowers on that offense to get it done. But I think it'll be better than people are expecting. What about you, though? Where did you fall?
Yeah, I got the Raiders at 6 and 11. So you have the Raiders as the worst team in the AFC West with 8 wins. That just goes to show how good this division is.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I filled out the schedule thing, so this is legit. This isn't me just throwing numbers and sticking at the wall. I was super high. Also, I think, in the AFC, I had, for the 4 through 7 seed only having 10 wins. So I have them, being a little top heavy, but I have a lot of teams winning, in that 7 to 10 range.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I have 6 and 11. I certainly agree with you. Pete Carroll's a damn good football coach, and he's an upgrade over Pierce. Pierce got the job last year. I know a lot of players were fighting for him to get the job, including Mad Max Crosby. He won 5 and 9 games at the end of 2023 to get the job, but 7 of those 9 games were against backup quarterbacks. And then they beat Mahomes, and he's like, we got the Mahomes rules, and that's when he got the job. But he was not right. And I love Antonio Pierce, former Giants linebacker, big in the Super Bowl win, but he's not going to be a coach that leads you to a Super Bowl, and it just was really ugly last year with him at the helm.
And I also think part of that is just, looking back and when they didn't hire Rich Bisaccia, when he stepped in as the intern head coach and then made the playoffs, and then, they got a lot of flack for that. So I think, their hands were tied there where they're like, all right, we don't want to make this mistake again. And then looking back that we bring someone else and it flops and they're like, well, you let another coach who, the players liked and won some games for you down the stretch walk away. So I think that also factored in as well.
Yeah, and I think that's also a big factor why Pete Carroll got the job is this team's had so much turnover at its head coach over the past decade plus, where it's like, with the whole John Gruden and then Josh McDaniels and Antonio Pierce and Bisaccia got a role there. No, they're all still paying, yeah. So it's like they were like, all right, let's just get an established Super Bowl winning head coach and Pete Carroll in here, and just like, even if Pete's like past his prime, which I think he is, he's one of the most conservative coaches in football. We saw it in Seattle. That's why they kind of pushed him out the door, because they were always one of the most run-heavy teams, like run the rock, play good defense, like just more of an old-school mentality, which doesn't get it done as much in today's league. I mean, it can if you have an elite back, which you hope Jeanty is. But I don't know. I have a little bit of concerns from Pete in that regard, although he should steady the ship. Geno's like fine. He's good. He's not great. Where he is good is he's very accurate. He has the fourth best completion rate since 2021. Actually grades out as a top 2 quarterback in terms of accuracy 3 years in a row. So that's good. And his splits indoors, outdoors are also insane. So now that he's indoors in Vegas, that should boost him as well. The problem is, I don't love the weapons here, and the offensive line is not very good. Although his offensive line in Seattle was not good, so it's nothing new to him. But they were 20th in pressure rate allowed. Their right tackle, DJ Glaze, one of the worst right tackles in football. I don't know. I don't love the offensive line here. I don't love the weapons. I like Meyers. He had 129 targets, 87 catches, over 1,000 yards, and 4 touchdowns last year. That's good. He's a good number 2. Bowers, of course, you mentioned it. I mean, just led tight ends with targets, receptions, yards, almost 1,200 yards. He had 5 touchdowns, so hopefully the touchdown mark goes up with Geno Smith. So Bowers will be a dog. Jeanty will be a dog. Meyers is fine. I don't love the offensive line, and I just don't know how high your ceiling is with Geno Smith. That's the offense, which I actually think is decent.
It's easy to get out from him too. He's only in a 2-year deal, so I feel like next year, if this year is a flop and they end up picking in the top 5, top 10, they could totally go draft a quarterback.
Yeah,
I don't think
and
they're
they
locked
will
into him long term.
Yeah, although they are trying to win now. Like their moves indicate they're trying to win now. When you take a running back at 6, you're trying to win now. And you sign a quarterback, trade for a quarterback who gave him a 3rd-round pick who's 34 years old, and bring in Pete Carroll, who's 73 now, 74. Like those all scream win now. When you look at this division, it's like, ooh, I don't know if this team should be win now.
Yeah, and I was higher on Jackson Powers-Johnson, too. I was super high on him last year coming into it, and he obviously, he didn't have the worst season. He definitely didn't live up to what I thought he would be. So I'm hoping he has a bigger, jump, because he was a guy that was a beast at Oregon. I mean, he won the Remington Award in his final year in college.
Yeah, that's a good call out. Maybe he can have a big second-year jump and help stabilize this line, clear up some running lanes for Ashton Jeanty. The real reason I'm down on the Raiders is this defense. Crosby, he's going to be a dog. 7.5 sacks last year in 12 games. He's always atop the league in pressures. Tyree Wilson, 4.5 sacks last year. Yeah, he's got inside-outside flexibility, but he's just not explosive. He's just not productive. He doesn't get to the quarterback. I think that was just a poor pick. And he had the tools, but I don't see him getting to be a double-digit sack guy. He certainly will never live up to being picked 7th overall, I believe he was, by the Raiders. You lost both your linebackers, Spillane and Diablo. You have no Wilkins now, who, he was out a lot last year, but now, you were banking on him coming back, and you were 26th in pressure rate last year, and you were middle of the pack against the run. I don't see how they're much better than that this year. I mean, outside of Crosby being healthy for the full season, as opposed to 12 games. Then you look at their secondary, and I'm like, their 2 projected starting corners are both former 4th-round picks, Jacorian Bennett, and to to Camarion Richardson. Yeah, I mean, and Darnay Holmes in the slot. Trust me, as a former Giants fan, you don't want Darnay Holmes starting on your defense. The guy gets called for holding every other goddamn play he's targeted, and then the other play they catch the ball. So I look at that secondary, and I'm like, this is ugly. Outside of, as you mentioned, adding Jeremy Chin, who kind of righted his career in the right track last year with Washington after a really good start to his career in Carolina and then falling off a bit. But outside of that, I look at his defense, and I'm like, I hate it. I actually hate this defense.
Worst defense in the league?
I mean, it's up there. It's certainly up there. Like, they will be bottom in the league against the pass. And, like, I am targeting in like, weekly fantasy football drafts and in the betting slates, I'm targeting receivers against this defense. Because outside of Max Crosby, I'm not scared of anybody.
Yeah, and I don't know if you necessarily should be looking at it.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's bad. Now they are projected a middle of the pack schedule like most of the AFC West. Sharp Football Analysis is projecting them to have the easiest schedule of opposing pass offenses. So that's good because that secondary needs all the help they can get. So if they're projected not to face a ton of elite quarterbacks, that could keep them in some games. But I don't know, dude. I look at the schedule. I look at this roster, particularly in the defense. I can't see them having a winning season. I think they'll get steamrolled by their own division. I got 6 wins, man. I'm on the under with this Raiders team. I was tempted to go 7 wins. 8 was pushing it for me because I'm like, you know what? Denver, Los Angeles, and KC are just miles ahead of this team. And I think all 3 of those offenses are going to just light this defense up.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like, there's something that, I mean, just that game last year where they went toe-to-toe with Kansas City on that Black Friday game with Aiden O'Connell, it's like they just, like, these division games are always close, They can, like, that's what I'm kind of projecting, that they'll still go out and win 2 out of 4 or 2 out of 6 of these division games.
Who do you have those 2 wins against? Do you think they beat KC?
No, I had them getting 1 against Denver and 1 against LA.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that wouldn't shock me. Like Geno Smith he still raises the floor of this team exponentially. He's definitely a major upgrade over O'Connell. And Pete Carroll's a major upgrade over Antonio Pierce. But there's just a lack of talent here. I think they're a year away from like pushing for a playoff spot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is tough, but I mean that's why you keep Pete Carroll the 3-year deal and the club option for year 4. So they're ultimately buying into giving him some time. I would say I don't think they can afford to fire another coach before his contract's up. So I think they know you got to let Pete Carroll build his team, and it'll be interesting. It'll definitely be interesting.
So who is your MVP for the Las Vegas Raiders in 2025?
Yeah, it's Ashton Jeanty, man. I think he's going to be the driving force behind them winning 8 games. I mean, he's going to be the bell cow. He's going to be over 300 touches between rushing and receiving. They're going to run this fucker into the ground. I'm going to be honest. I think Mostert will have some juice and we'll get a little bit of run here and there. But I think, Jeanty's going to be an 80 to 90%, snap count kind of guy. And, they're going to run the shit out of him like we saw Boise State run the shit out of him. So, even in fantasy drafts, I've seen him going in the first round, mid to late first round. And I would take it. I mean, even if this isn't the most high-powered offense, I think sheer volume alone and, when he gets to the goal line, they're probably going to defer to him, and you still got
he's going to get every fucking touch. He might push 300 touches.
I think so. I'm saying 300, and I was saying 300 including receiving, but he might just get 300 on carries alone.
Yeah, he might. Jeanty's an absolute stud.
So he's going to be my MVP.
He's going to be a superstar out the gate. And I had 2 best ball drafts. I actually did back to back. I got the 12th pick in both, and I took Jeanty in both. I was like, he's just, Pete Carroll is going to want to run the football. They took him 6th overall for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
They're outside of Brock Bowers. The pass catchers aren't great. Jeanty's going to be the horse of this offense. He's going to run for, if he's fully healthy, at least 1,200 yards, in my opinion. At least. And I think he's a 10 touchdown guy. You look at him, and I don't even give a shit that he played at Boise State. These teams had 8 guys in the box nonstop. They knew the ball was going to Jeanty. And he still would run through all of them and score. Like, it was unbelievable watching him. He's a top
he
of
did
the class.
against Oregon. He cooked Oregon.
Yeah, he was a top of the class in like every single metric. And the reason that people don't talk about his receiving game is because Boise was trying to get him the rushing record, which he just fell short of Barry Sanders' record. They wanted to give it to him. In 23, he showed what he can do as a receiver as well. He's got hands. So it's not like you're taking him off the field on third downs either. He's going to be their pass catching back as well. So when you pair that with the pure volume he's going to get, the talent, I mean, Jeanty's ready to hit the ground running. I think he's going to be an absolute superstar.
Yeah, you don't draft a guy at 6 to not use him as a 3-down back.
And we're both picking him as their MVP over Max Crosby. Now, part of that is we're going to pick Crosby for depoy because his defense is garbage anyways. But still, like, Jeanty's that important for this offense. If he goes down, like, it's going to look a lot like 2024, in my opinion.
Yeah. And plus, like, obviously, Max Crosby goes down, the defenses are cooked even more. But I think Jeanty could turn this team into a playoff team. That's why he's also my X factor for this team, because I'm putting in so much stock into this guy where he needs to be like everything advertised. Because, Geno can be an above average quarterback, and I don't know if it'll matter. But if this guy can, be like Ezekiel Elliott rookie year, Saquon Barkley rookie year, where he's just like, boosting an offense up to an absurd amount, I think he could, I don't know if he'll be good enough to get him to the playoffs, but I definitely think there's going to be a couple games where it's like, yeah, Ashton Jeanty went out there and won them this game.
100%. My X factor is Geno Smith. You know what he's going to bring to the table. He's going to limit turnovers. He's going to be accurate. He needs to elevate the passing offense. You need Bowers to do what he did last year and more, up the touchdowns, more production in the red zone. Jacobi Meyers, yeah, he had over 1,000 yards last year. A lot of that was Devontae Adams got traded early on, and there just wasn't a ton of mouths to feed, and he was a big proponent of that. But Geno Smith needs to be a winner for this team. He needs to change the culture for this team because it's a complete shift in leadership. So for me, the whole season hinges on Geno, because if he gets hurt, you could run the shit out of Jeanty, but with that defense, you're not going to have a quarterback that's going to be able to play catch up.
Yeah, who's the back? Is O'Connell still the backup? I'm assuming. I don't remember them trading him, did they? I
don't know. I think
no. O'Connell's still there, and they drafted Cam Miller.
Yeah,
they drafted Cam Miller from North Dakota State.
Yeah, because Minshew's out, so I was like, yeah, they definitely kept O'Connell, who's he's a career backup. So rookie of the year, of course, it's Ashton Jeanty. There's really no other rookie that you could argue over Ashton Jeanty on this team.
I guess if you want,
we'll talk. I got a rookie I want to shout out for the fantasy one, but like you can't argue any of these rookie receivers are going to outproduce Jeanty. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Who is your depoy? Definitely Crosby. Let's move on to the fantasy. Who are you targeting fantasy in this offense? Of course, Jeanty and Bowers are 2 of the top picks. Outside of those guys,
I think Jacobi Meyers is worth taking. He was ultra targeted, by Aiden O'Connell. He had some big numbers last year. And I think, seeing Geno Smith's career, he's kept Tyler Lockett relevant. And then it was, with DK Metcalf, like he always had like 2 targets that were very relevant with his Seattle days. And then last year with JSN and DK, they were both beasts. So, if it is really Bowers being, his number 1 and Jacobi Meyers being his 2 or vice versa, I think both guys are going to be very relevant for fantasy. So I think Meyers is not getting a ton of respect because he's not a household name, but I definitely think he could put up big numbers. So he's definitely a guy I would target late, knowing that you actually might have like wide receiver 2 type numbers just based off of pure volume.
Yeah, I think he's got a high floor. I think if he's in your flex, you look at your team, you're like, that's not the sexiest name, but the production's going to probably be there. So I do like Jacobi Meyers as well. I went a different route. Receiver Dante Thornton out of Tennessee. Picked in the 4th round.
Big dude.
He only started 4 games at Tennessee. And we've talked about it on this pod before, how the Tennessee offense is considered one of the most spread out offenses in college, does not translate to the NFL. But Thornton's 6'4", and ran a 4.3 flat in the 40. And he's already working with the ones right now in camp. For me, with those tools, and you're working with the ones for a team that needs help outside of Bowers and Meyers, I like the shot on him late in best ball drafts, and I wouldn't mind stashing him on my taxi slot. Now, I know Tennessee wide receivers, Hyatt didn't pan out when he won the Blinkentoff. Cedric Tillman, showed some flashes last year over a short game sample size, 4 games. So maybe he's breaking the mold a little bit. Don't love Tennessee receivers, but Dante Thornton in this situation, I think is worth a dart throw.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously they take Beck in this, or is it Beck or Betch?
I think it's Beck. I think it's Beck.
But
they took
from
him in the second
TCU,
round.
they took him in the second round. So he obviously someone to look at, and even Tommy Millett from Montana State. I mean, I think all these guys will have opportunities, but I mean, between Betch and Thornton Jr., got to look at him. And Trey Tucker even down the stretch showed some flashes. So it'll be interesting to see who becomes the 2 and 3. But I do like your shot from Thornton just because of the fact that the tools are there and the opportunities there as well.
I like it. Raiders fans, let us know in the comments. Are you bullish on the Geno and Pete combo? Did you already buy your Ashton Jeanty jersey, or are they sold out because the guy's going to go for probably 2,000 yards as a rookie? I don't know. But still, I don't see the Raiders making the playoffs. Maybe you do. Let us know why you think I'm wrong in the comments. Reagan, any last words from you?
Hey, man. Jeanty, are you going to be the number 1 running back this year? It's possible. It's possible, bro. But I'm excited. Good breakdown. Good breakdown. Raiders.